Shudra Pratigrahishyanti Tapo Vesopajivina Dharmam Vakshyanti Adharmagnya Adiruhyottamasanam. Uncultured men will accept charity on behalf of the Lord and will earn their livelihood by making a show of austerity and wearing a mendicant's dress. Those who know nothing about religion will mount a high seat and presume to speak on religious principles. The epidemic of bogus gurus, swamis, priests, and so forth is explicitly described here. So, you know that uncultured men will accept charity on behalf of the Lord and will earn their livelihood. We even on the roads we see people will take photo of the Lord, or they'll say, I'm going to some Tirtha Yatra or for this temple or something. On behalf of, they'll use the Lord's name and accept charity. Or you see some people will make a show of austerity, especially, closer to the Himalayas and all that. There'll be sadhus. Oh, how many are genuine and how many are fraud? We don't know. And wearing a mendicant's dress. Here we don't see hardly any in Bangalore. We don't see any mendicant only. All they just do, begging with some disease or some. This thing is more common because people are not even interested in sadhus anymore. So people with some, some kind of ailment or physical something, if they are lame or something like that, then they get more compassion from people. So that is how they earn their money now. Those who know nothing about religion, that we know, will mount a high seat and presume to speak on religious principles. Nityam udvigna manaso durbiksha karakarshita niranne bhutale rajan anavrishti bayatura vasonna pana shayana vyavaya snana bhushanai hinaha pishacha sandarsha bhavishyanti kalo praja. In the age of Kali, people's mind will always be agitated. They'll become emaciated by famine and taxation, my dear king, and will always be disturbed by fear and of drought. They will lack adequate clothing, food, and drink, will be unable to properly rest, have sex, or bathe themselves, and will have no ornaments to decorate their bodies. In fact, the people of Kali Yuga will gradually come to appear like ghostly, haunted creatures. The symptoms described here are already prevalent in many countries of the world and will gradually spread to other places engulfed by impiety and materialism. So we know that people's minds are very, very, very disturbed. You don't know, you go on the road or you go to a mall or somewhere, public place, you don't know whether you'll come back alive. Who's some crazy guy who wants to put a bomb there or who might just act crazy and, something can happen. So people's minds are always agitated and they'll become emaciated by famine. So, and taxation, my dear king, and will always be disturbed by fear of drought. They will lack adequate clothing. Whether they lack or not, they wear inadequate clothing, food, and drink, and will be unable to properly rest, have sex, or bathe themselves, and will have no ornaments to decorate their bodies. Even if they have, they don't want to wear their ornaments, right? They think one plastic thing or some thin something, most unattractive thing you should wear, and you should wear all torn clothes. Whether even people who have enough money dress up like that. Imagine now, before only the jeans were torn. Now I saw somebody was wearing kurta also torn. All torn here and there. My God, why? Why did they earn money in order to dress up like this? So it is very inauspicious to dress up. See, in the Bhagavatam it said, and you must wear nice ornaments. It's auspicious. But people think I should be bare, and all the girls of our country, women, they also no ornaments. They'll go and buy lot of ornaments in the shop. I don't know when they wear it, because when you see them, there is no tilaka, no bindi, no ornaments, one dirty looking earrings, one black something here and there. That's what they wear. So inauspicious. Even with money, having money also, they would dress up like that. And so, in fact, the people of Kali Yuga will gradually come to appear like ghostly, haunted creatures. Kalau kakini kepi arte vigrihya tyakta sauhrida tyakshanti cha priyan pranan anishyanti swakanapi. In Kali Yuga, men will develop hatred for each other, even over a few coins, giving up all friendly relations. They'll be ready to lose their own lives and kill even their own relatives. How true. Every day, this hatred is just increasing. Hardly any true affection or love, and everything is so selfish. It's happening very fast, rapidly. Na rakshiyanti manuja stavirau pitarab api putran bharyam chakulajam kshudra shishnodaram bharaha. Men will no longer protect their elderly parents, their children, or their respectable wives. Thoroughly degraded, they'll care only to satisfy their own bellies and genitals. In this age, many people are already sending their elderly parents away to lonely and often bizarre old age homes, although the elderly parents spend their entire lives serving their children. Young children are also tormented in many ways in this age. Suicide among children has increased dramatically in recent years because they are born not to loving religious parents, but to degraded, selfish men and women. So that's another major cause for increasing suicides. One thing is the parents, instead of being religious and God fearing and making sure that the children also develop proper values, they're just forcing them, you must finish this exam and you must come up in life this way only. And then, so how is that love? The child is suffering and struggling and they don't care. Go and stay in Kota or wherever, far away. Forget about your childhood, nothing. Just sit, study, 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 because I want you to get into this course. And so then that's it. So many children commit suicide. Or even if they don't go there, there are other children also due to other reasons, because no value system, nothing. Or those children who are too much pampered, they also don't know how to face life at all. Completely, very, very lopsided, very underdeveloped personalities. In fact, children are born first because a birth control pill, a pre a prophylactic or some other contraceptive device malfunctioned. Under such circumstances, it is very difficult nowadays for parents to morally guide their children. Generally ignorant of spiritual science, parents cannot lead their children on the path of liberation and thus fail to fulfill their primary responsibility to family life. As predicted in this verse, adultery has become common, and people in general are extremely concerned with eating and sex, which they consider far more important than knowing the absolute truth. Actually, nowadays, whichever woman I come across for a maid servant or doing some work, so many, or in that, this thing, so many women, none of them have proper husbands. Either he'll be a drunk and beating her up nicely, taking away what she earns also, and he won't give any money to the family. This is the only story I hear. And they have to fend for themselves. This is in all age categories. From young to old, this is the same story. I have not seen one happy marriage among that level of that class of people. It's shocking. Every woman I see, their husbands won't be nice to them, and they have to, or maybe they are the ones who look for a job. I don't know, but very rare that you find in that class of this thing, the men are nice family men who take care of their wife and children. Never. Only get drunk and have illicit sex and beat up the woman. Oh, Krishna, it's all mentioned here. Thoroughly degraded. They will care only to satisfy their own bellies and genitals. And of course, no chance of taking care of their elderly parents. Also, because they've become like what even animals are not like that. They've just completely become like zombies. Totally, totally living only for their senses. And birth control, yes, contraceptives, only because maybe it malfunctioned and so they get a child, then what affection or love they may have. We've read so many places where two people, they are living together, not married, and then when she discovers that she's pregnant, and then in one case either they have abortion or the child is born and they don't want to take care of it. There is one case in which the couple didn't want to take care of the child, so they asked the grandparents. Grandparents are even greater than them. They said, "We also don't want to take care." So she wanted to give it to her neighbors or somebody, and then the court said, "What is this? No, you must take care," or something like that. It some 1 year or 2 years ago, this case. So people really don't feel anything. Forget about when liberation and all that is too elevated topic for them. Even to just take care, maintain them with no, their heart has no love. You see, nowadays you can't see people having any tears even in their eyes. Even if they are supposed to be crying, maybe just a tiny teardrop may come because the heart has become so dry. They don't feel any love. It's only filled with lust. So tears are an expression of the soft-heartedness. So the heart is hard like a rock. So tears also don't come, and they've become. So this is the kind of people. And adultery has become common. Okay, so just eating and sex, and that's why we know people are just that. That's the main occupation. They go now. I mean, they have this dating this thing, through the internet. I think the young people where they meet either through the dating portal, the internet, or they go to wait, or they go to discos. I don't know where they meet up, and this is all they spend their time. Kalaunarajan Jagatam Param Gurum Trilokanatana Nata Pada Pankajam Prayena Martya Bhagavantam Achyutam Yakshanti Pashanda Vibhinna Chetasa. O king, in the age of Kali, people's intelligence will be diverted by atheism, and they will almost never offer sacrifice to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supreme spiritual master of the universe. Although the great personalities who control the three worlds all bow down to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the petty and miserable human beings of this age will not do so. Human beings. They are not talking of the other people, human beings in Kali Yuga, that is on the middle planetary system, especially on the earth. Although the great personalities who control the three worlds all bow down. Imagine, they have all got great posts, they're very intelligent, they have so much power, but they just fall down flat at the lotus feet of Krishna. But in Kali Yuga, people don't believe in God. I don't know how, by what stretch of imagination they convince themselves there's no God. And so they don't want to offer any sacrifice or acknowledge his existence even. Purport: the impulse to find the absolute truth, the source of all existence, has motivated philosophers, theologians, and other intellectuals of various persuasions since time immemorial, and continues to do so today. However, soberly analyzing the ever increasing plurality of so called philosophies, religions, paths, way of life, and so on, we find that in almost all cases, the ultimate objective is something impersonal or formless. But this idea of an impersonal or formless absolute truth has serious logical flaws. According to ordinary rules of logic, a particular effect should directly or indirectly embody the attributes or nature of its own cause. Thus, that which has no personality or activity would hardly be the source of all personality and all activity. So they are saying ultimately it's void. Yesterday, I was saying this voidism. Jaggi Vasudev's daughter, they were doing some kind of a dance for their this thing, and in that, that is Isha Foundations. So what? So they were doing a dance, and in that she was giving the introduction, and she said that all the color and all the activity that we see in life, it's full of life. But we should understand that the origin of all these color, red and yellow and blue and riot of colors, which is what is, makes up his life. And then it is all coming from what? Black color. So black color is smiling and thinking, I'm the origin of all of you. Why? Why black is the origin? We normally see that light passes through the prism and then all colors come. But here their philosophy is from Shunya, everything comes. So I was shocked. Oh, this is their philosophy. Shunya, finally, it is nothingness because they are coming from material attachment to that. That's why impersonalism is no material attachment, zero material attachment. So no attachment at all. And spiritually, I just merge with the Brahma Jyoti and I just exit. At least there is something positive in that. In Shunyavadi, it is just black, zero. And this is what, and they are the most popular. Isha Foundations is growing in popularity day after day. And this is voidism. They have Shiva and all that, but ultimately, I don't know what they believe. Probably only up to this voidistic philosophy they believe. They worship Shiva, but they think ultimately, they say, I also become Shiva. And what does becoming Shiva mean? I don't know. But this was, naturally, this must be the philosophy he also says because his own daughter, and she was dancing and for their foundation. So this is voidism, and most of the people are very happy with such philosophy only. But how can you? That's what he's saying. There's no logic behind it. If something is coming from a cause, that cause should also have no attributes of the effect. If the cause does not have that attributes, how will it manifest? So Brahman is supposed to have no variety, no form, no qualities. Then how will it from Brahman come the manifestation of this material world with so much variety, color, and attributes? So they have to. We don't see anything like that. From Shunya, from zero comes everything. That's why they say, oh, before, I've heard this in college, this thing, some people saying, somebody saying, our spiritual, our maths is a very spiritual subject. So, why? Because it's got zero. Zero is supposed to be God. Our irrepressible proclivity to philosophize about the ultimate truth often expresses itself through philosophical, scientific, and mystical attempts to discover that from which everything emanates. This material world, which is seemingly limitless network of interactive causes and effects, is certainly not the absolute truth. Since scientific observation of material elements indicates that the stuff of this world, material energy, is endlessly transformed into different states and shapes. Therefore, one particular instance of material reality cannot be the ultimate source of all other things. So, matter cannot be the cause of matter. That's what he's saying. This material world, which is seemingly limitless network of interactive causes and effects, is certainly not the absolute truth. Is because this material energy is constantly getting transformed into different states and shapes. There's nothing permanent. You cannot say that this is the absolute truth in the material world from which everything else comes, because it's constantly undergoing changes. It's created, it stays for some time, and it finished. How can that be the absolute truth? We may speculate that matter in some shape or other has always existed. This theory, however, is no longer attractive to modern cosmologists, such as those at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And even if we do posit that matter has always existed, we still must explain the source of consciousness if we want to satisfy a philosophical impulse towards discovering the absolute truth. Although modern empirical fanatics state that nothing is real except matter, everyone commonly experiences that consciousness is not the same kind of substance as a stone, a pencil, or water. Awareness itself, in contradiction to the objects of awareness, is not a physical entity, but rather a process of perception and understanding. So a consciousness is separate from the matter itself, right? It's totally different when we are aware of things. The seer and the seen, there is a difference. The seen is an object, and the seer is the person who has intelligence, awareness, consciousness. So consciousness is different from matter. While there is ample evidence of a systematic interdependent relation between matter and consciousness, there is no rigid empirical evidence whatsoever that matter is the cause of consciousness. That's what modern science believes. Matter creates consciousness. They think that in the beginning, when birth takes place, fertilization, it is only chemicals. And after some time, after the third month is when consciousness develops. That's why they say up to third month, you can terminate your pregnancy because there's no consciousness. How did they, how can, without consciousness, how chemicals alone can create a body and all that? Matter, so they are thinking matter is, and that's why Prabhupada wrote the book, Life Comes from Life, not matter. Life cannot come from matter. Matter doesn't even have consciousness. How can it produce consciousness? Thus, the theory that the material world has always existed and is therefore the ultimate truth does not scientifically or even intuitively explain the source of consciousness, which is the most fundamentally real aspect of our existence. So some people think material world is always there. That is the only permanent thing that is eternal. But how can, I mean, matter is, it still doesn't explain what about consciousness? Where did that come from? Furthermore, as demonstrated by Dr. Richard Thompson of the State University of New York and at Binghamton, and confirmed by several Nobel laureates in physics who have praised his work, the laws of nature governing the transformation of matter simply do not contain sufficiently complex information to account for the inconceivable complexity of events taking place within our own bodies and those of other life forms. Uh, so they just don't have information about how all these complicated things are happening within our own body and within all living entities. That itself is such an amazing thing. Who created such a complex system? They don't know. In other words, not only do the material laws of nature fail to account for the existence of consciousness, but they cannot explain even the interaction of material elements at complex organic levels. Even Socrates, the first great Western philosopher, was disgusted with the attempt to establish ultimate causality in terms of mechanistic principles. So, Socrates, the Greek philosopher, he believed in a soul. And he was saying it's not just matter, because they were saying that everything is only matter, there is no spirit, and all that. So, Socrates, he was propounding this, and that Atma is there and all that. And so they hated it and they wanted to poison him and kill him. And so they got it. The king only ordered, I think, that he has to drink poison. Socrates was not disturbed. I am not this body. I'll drink the poison. And so he had full conviction that he is not the body and he is the soul. The heat and luminosity of the sun's rays demonstrate to the satisfaction of any rational man that the sun, the source of the rays, is certainly not a dark, cold globe, but rather a reservoir of almost unlimited heat and light. Similarly, the innumerable instances of personality and personal consciousness within creation are more than adequate to demonstrate the existence somewhere of an unlimited reservoir of consciousness and personal behavior. Where did all that come from? The consciousness, the personality, the behavior. Where did we learn all that from? So, somewhere it has to be there. Unlimited reservoir of consciousness and personal behavior. In his dialogue, Philebus, the Greek philosopher uh, Plato wrote the Philebus. He argued that just as the material elements in our body are derived from a vast reservoir of material elements existing within the universe, our rational intelligence is also derived from a great cosmic intelligence existing within the universe. And this supreme intelligence is God, the creator. So, early Western philosophers were more God conscious, more intelligent. And so, Plato is saying that just as we know that the body has come from the material elements, similarly, our intelligence also has to have an intelligent source. And so he called that supreme, the source of all intelligence is to be God, the creator. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, many leading thinkers cannot understand this. And instead, they deny that the absolute truth, the source of our personal consciousness, has consciousness and personality. This is as reasonable as saying that sun is cold and dark. How can sun, if it is cold and dark, how can it give so much light and heat? And that is why even about the moon, Prabhupada said, if through moonshine so many vegetables are growing, all the plants, they derive nourishment from the moonlight and they grow because of moonlight. And how is it? It's so ridiculous that moon itself is just doesn't have anything but just dust. So in Kali Yuga, many people present cheap, stereotyped arguments such as if God had a body or personality, he would be limited. In this inadequate attempt at logic, a qualified term is falsely presented in a universal sense. What really should be said is if God had a material body or a material personality like those we have experienced, he would be limited. But we leave out the qualifying adjective material and make a pseudo universal assertion as if we understood the full range within total reality of bodies and personality. So Krishna, no, but that is why the Mayavadis, they say that God cannot be personal, because if he is personal, then he is limited. That is, if he has a material body like us, but he has a spiritual body, he can limitedly expand himself. So, because they do not accept the Shastra, they have more faith in their own minds, their own material logic. That is why Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other Vedic literatures teach that the transcendental form and personality of the absolute truth are unlimited. Clearly, to be truly infinite, God must be not only quantitatively, but also qualitatively infinite. Unfortunately, in our mechanistic industrial age, we tend to define infinity only in its quantitative sense, and thus we fail to notice that an infinity of personal qualities is a necessary aspect of infinity. So, infinity is infinite not only in quantity. We know infinity means it goes on, there's no this thing to it. That also was given by India, right? Vedic, this thing in maths. And he's saying if infinity is quantitatively infinite, infinity is also qualitatively infinite, or God in his infinite this thing feature, he is not only quantitatively infinite, how many forms, Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. But he also, qualities, also Krishna's qualities, Ananta, Lord Ananta Sesh is constantly trying to glorify him, and he's never come to this thing end. Go on and on and on, more and more qualities. So, in other words, God must have infinite beauty, infinite wealth, infinite intelligence, infinite humor, infinite kindness, infinite anger, and so on. Infinite is an absolute. And if anything we observe in this world is not contained some or other within our conception of the absolute, then that conception is of something limited and not of the absolute at all. So if and if anything we observe in the world is not contained somehow or the other within our conception of the absolute, so whatever is described about the absolute must be there. If it is not there, infinite qualities, infinite quantity, and all that in the material world, then it is not God, not absolute at all. Only in Kali Yuga are there philosophers foolish enough to proudly define the most absolute of all terms, God, in materialistic, relative ways, and then declare themselves enlightened thinkers. No matter how big our brain may be, we should have the common sense to place it at the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, that's why in Kali Yuga, everybody is just mouthing the same thing: secularism, secularism. What secularism means is, in practical terms in India, secularism means atheism. I don't believe in God only. Then I'm very advanced. I don't believe in Hindu. I don't believe in, that is also a farce. What they don't, what they are against is Hinduism. If you are a secular person in India, it means you're anti-Hindu. They are, they're not against other religions. They are very biased. They don't say I'm beyond religion and all that. No, no, no. They are against Hinduism. Why? Because Hinduism is actually the Sanatan Dharma, which is the eternal religion. And somehow the hatred for that shows hatred for Krishna. And what is your nature then? You're an Asura. And that is what. So secularism is just atheism, hatred for Krishna. Yennamdheyam mriyamana atura patan skalan vavivasho grinan puman vimukta karmargala uttamam gatim prapnoti yakshyanti natam kalau jana. Terrified, about to die, a man collapses on his bed. Although his voice is faltering and he's hardly conscious of what he's saying, if he utters the holy name of the Supreme Lord, he can be freed from the reaction of his fruitive work and achieve the supreme destination. But still, people in the age of Kali will not worship the Supreme Lord. You can lead a horse to the water, but you cannot make him drink. We have such caricatures that one big, nice example is Stalin, this chief minister of Tamil Nadu, who he and his son and all their ministers, goons. They're all like this stupid, idiotic people who speak against God and really totally without any intelligence. Pumsam kalikritan doshan dravya deshatma sambhavan sarvan harati chittasto bhagavan purushottama. In the Kali Yuga, objects, places, and even individual personalities are all polluted. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, however, can remove all such contamination from the life of one who fixes the Lord within his mind. That's the only thing we should aim for, is fixing Krishna all the time in our mind. Otherwise, in Kali Yuga, objects, places, and even individual personalities are all polluted. That is why other things, don't give the complete benefit. Without Krishna, without chanting, without surrender, no, nothing is going. Without Hare Krishna mantra, very difficult. This Isha Foundation, or the leader, the Jaggi Vasudev, what do they call him? Guru, Sadguru. Now, Sadguru, he had an operation in his this thing recently. He had a tumor or something, and no, internal bleeding and all that. So people are questioning. So far, you said, I don't believe in this, artificial methods of treatment, only natural. He was. I mean, he has been like that, hardly this thing, very, very rugged. His um, body is really very rugged, and so many things. He just goes around the world biking, and also they follow a sattvic diet and all that. That is there in his ashrams. They give free food, I think, all vegetarian, very sumptuous. The residents, that is ashram inmates, and he makes them do yoga, dance, music, all these things. So that way it's sattvic. They eat only vegetarian and no onion garlic. But I don't know. They may not be offering, because who will they offer to? To zero, to darkness. How you can offer to Shiva? I don't think they think of Shiva as a person. I don't know what they believe. Anyway, whatever it is, at least sattvic lifestyle he follows. But now this has happened, and they are asking some people, see, you said now you want modern medicine now. Why you're going there? That's what I was thinking. Why, Krishna, you did like this? Ayurveda is just floundering nowadays. And on top of that, even religious people have to go for all these things. Why you're making like this? But then that is how in Kali Yuga, he was too much giving emphasis on all these natural things, but not ultimately it is Krishna only who can cure us or whatever. That he doesn't say. He doesn't believe in. That's what he believes in, Shunya. That is why. And in this age, you cannot, nobody can just survive on all these sort of things. The only way is somehow, the most important thing is chanting Hare Krishna and think about going back to Godhead, somehow surviving while we are living. Something you do, manage yourself and keep yourself alive and doing something, keeping yourself busy until you go back to Godhead. Because nothing is perfect. None of those religious systems also, you can't say, I'll just do yoga and I'll become perfect. Impossible. Nothing. Not by karma, not by yoga, not by jnana. Nothing. Only bhakti. And only bhakti is important. And whichever way Krishna does, it's okay. Even for Guru Maharaj, all the time allopathic treatment. Again, he has had to go there only. And I think they gave a slight dialysis also. We're trying to avoid that and instead give Ayurveda, but it doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe our lifestyles are all so very polluted. For Guru Maharaj, of course, his schedule is too much all the time in the move, and there's no proper routine and all. It's not like
Actually, just no update has come, Mataji. He was
what's up?
critical yesterday.
Yesterday what?
He was very critical.
Ah.
And they have very in an emergency way doctors have responded, and little bit respond but not much, but that is what they are meant. Shall I read out, Mataji?
Read out.
Guru Maharaj continues to be in ICU in ILBS, although he became very critical early in the morning yesterday, but by active management of health team and hospital doctors, he managed to tide over the crisis to some extent, but the situation remains critical still. He is being treated with the strong antibiotics for infection and medication to increase his blood pressure. By late afternoon, he showed some signs of improvement, both clinically as well as in the parameters. But his blood pressure is still low despite medications to raise it. Also, his oxygen requirement is still high. His kidney function has improved a little due to ongoing dialysis. However, only by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada, and prayers of all the devotees, the situation is improving slowly. Guru Maharaj is very alert and in good spirits. He is chanting regularly and was preaching to the ICU nurse last evening.
Yeah. So that is what dialysis. Yeah, that also, and then all his body. I don't know which part is not functioning properly. Everything has got a problem. But in spite of all that, that is what each time is a miracle. Only by prayer he's alive. From the time he got the stroke, it is only prayers of the devotees. There are so many things they do. They keep on trying. The health team is there. Every day almost they have a meeting and they discuss what all to do. And then now they are supported by international doctors. Still, they themselves are saying only devotees' prayers. That is all.
Moreover, he is not body, he is soul, he proved. And he is one of the follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada said. So, some miracles also there. Doctors are saying, no? Above the science. Yes.
That is there. But I'm saying in Kali Yuga, materially, it's impossible to live in today's world. Only Hare Krishna mantra is keeping us alive, I'm saying. For everyone. No, Guru Maharaj, though, of course, he is not the body at all. In fact, he should not do
Even
all this
the
stuff.
Kartik month, so devotees are saying he wants to, our disciples and other devotees also more chant. So the Leela also there. Because he is,
First of all, he is suffering because of our karmas. It's not his karma. And Krishna has made it such that because of that only devotees are chanting, taking little more seriously about their vows and all that. Yes, in his case, it is mentioned also now in the scriptures that when sometimes the guru, he falls sick, it's a leela, he gives an opportunity for the disciples to take care. I'm not saying that Guru Maharaj is ordinary or anything. I'm saying that in case of treatment, the I mean, what works? Nothing works. Only our chanting works. That's what I'm saying. I mean, no, even for ourselves, no system. You cannot say that. Oh, I've lived a very perfect, healthy life. So many people think like that on Sattva Guna. I never do this. I did that. That is also not enough because you can't be fully Sattva Guna. All kinds of food we eat. I mean, everything is corrupted, polluted, full of pesticides. Something or the other, you'll end up. However much you are very careful, somehow we are all being kept alive and maintained only by chanting Hare Krishna. Otherwise, you stop chanting Hare Krishna and see how we become. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying only because of Hare Krishna mantra and for Guru Maharaj also now we should chant very, very sincerely. And each time it only Hare Krishna mantra has revived. And he also depends only on that. All the health team will say, no, you should not travel, stay here only, do this, do that. He'll keep quiet, he will not resist. And then he'll make his plans and he'll go because he's depending on Krishna. And every place he's been traveling so far, even to Vrindavan, I don't know how he managed to come. Somehow he came off. Then here, the health team will say, see, we told him. Now also he's falling sick. That is, that will happen. And we have to pray. And because he's completely surrendered to Krishna, completely surrendered to Krishna. I was just thinking today, what kind of surrender this is. I don't know. He said, I am taking care of my body very nicely. What can I do? Guru Maharaj is saying. He's so careful, not like before. Before, he was just mercy. Anybody can bring anything and he will eat just to give them mercy. He was not following anything. Now, he's following very, very, very carefully, doing all the exercises, all the medicines, everything is following. Poor thing. And but Krishna is, I don't know, like this. Every time he has to somehow make some plans so that he can travel. Everybody will say, no travel for you now. You stay here in Mayapur, and he's making big plans to go here, there, because that's his life. He's living here only to give mercy to people. So it's very restrictive for him. Don't go here all the time, body giving him problem, and everyone will say, very, very dangerous. You should not travel. And then he is completely dependent on Krishna. That is what I'm saying. No system of medicine, nothing is sure. Something they are also doing, but at least he is under devotee care. So at least they will make sure that good care is given to him. That is there, but they themselves are limited. The medicine is limited. No system of medicine is really perfect. That's what Krishna is actually, I mean, that's what maybe is coming through. Because people are even questioning, at least Guru Maharaj never said that I will only take this medicine, that nothing. He just leave it to Krishna. I'm not this body, whatever. And he wants to engage all his disciples in his service. That's what he's taking, seeing it in a very spiritual way. But someone like, Jaggi Vasudev, people are questioning. You said now that you don't believe in all this medicine, allopathic medicine. Now, why you're depending on that? So we can't be sure. We cannot say anything is absolute, or something will really work in Kali Yuga. Nothing works. We can be sure. You cannot be sure, and everything will work only because of Hare Krishna mantra. That is our only what you call that is the only good thing in Kali Yuga. Kali doshe nide rajan asti ekad mahad guna.
Perfect.
Huh?
Perfect, Mataji. One more thing I can, shall I share, Mataji? One Mataji's experience. They are Vrindavana, they are Govardhana Parikrama, everything doing now. One foreign Mataji, I don't know name.
Now,
Guru
during the
disciple.
safari.
Yeah, Guru Maharaj disciple suffering cancer, and one boy only, he is studying in Delhi or somewhere, and husband also here. Both are serving Vrindavan Dham, and she is suffering, and she is telling, I want to talk with Guru Maharaj, and I am leaving my body because of suffering, cancer. And he called Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj told, no, when I will come there after that only, you wait. And then after 1 week only, Guru Maharaj came, Mangalarti attended, visited her, prasadam given, and she nicely left her body. So the devotees are saying even Guru Maharaj is controlling that itself. Then Guru Maharaj knows when he want to leave his body. So nobody can predict like that. But he will not reveal everything. That's what.
That is obvious. Guru Maharaj himself tells us, na. Krishna himself said you can come back if you want.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Guru Maharaj only each time he says, no, I have to stay here because Prabhupada has given me work. That is very obvious that he is only deciding to stay here. Otherwise, who will stay in this kind of body?
Yeah, correct.
He mentioned when Janani was Prabhu's birthday, Mataji, that day, hope we both will shift Radha, Madhava, Ashtasakhi and on Nashinde, Panchatattva to TOVP. But so like that he was mentioning, Mataji, means he has strong desire. Like, he want to complete that project.
He told, during COVID, I want to live till TOVP project is complete, and we all got terrified. Suppose it gets over by 2018-19. They were first planning to finish it that time only. Then afterwards, that got extended to 2022. Now they're saying, I don't know,
25 December,
25.
that is what they are saying.
But we must keep, I don't know, Guru Maharaj, that if you think, I don't know, that, we want him to live beyond TOVP, but his health also should be good. He's open to it. Actually, Guru Maharaj is such a wonderful person, like Prahlad Maharaj. He is so compassionate. For our sake, he is ready to stay. Who else will stay like this? He wants to stay. So somehow, if we convince him, you have to stay, Guru Maharaj, but his health also should become okay, and we should all pray very nicely and pray to Krishna really sincerely. Health also improves, then we must assure Guru Maharaj, you must be here. We'll do something to help you. We'll also become serious. Without you, we can't live. We have to convince them. Otherwise, just imagine how life will be. It's impossible to think. So that is why we have to convince him. You have to stay, because that Srirangam Jier, he told, you will be like Ramanujacharya and you'll live for 120 years. So please live at least for 100 years. We have to request him. Yeah. So that's what, anyway, Kali Yuga is like this. Without Hare Krishna mantra, we have finished. How many people are suffering? Nobody is happy. You see, everybody, whenever they get married, all young people, some or the other problem. Nobody, I haven't seen, at least, okay, maybe I hear about all the karmi things, or I hear from whatever news clips, and maybe some this thing also from karmi life. I mean, whoever we know, but mostly it's from devotees. Devotees themselves are suffering. Proper marriage only doesn't take place. Nobody gets enough children also. So many job problems, this problem, that problem. Who is happy in this material world? Kali Yuga is really Kali Dosher Nide Rajan. Dosha, it's an ocean of faults. And only one thing, Hare Krishna mantra, Kirtaniya eva Krishnasya, Mukta Sangha Param Vraje. That is the only thing. That is the only savior. And we just surrender to Krishna and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Then you are somehow, you can just relax. Okay, Krishna will take care. Whatever happens materially also is only by his mercy. Only Kirtaniya eva Krishnasya. Nothing else. Nastiva, 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 gatiranyata. And it's very true we are seeing, right, in Kali Yuga. That's why we should tell more and more people to chant Hare Krishna mantra. And that is the only thing. Especially all students, children, we should go to schools and really teach. I mean, of course, the principals. Anyway, let Modi come to this thing, the third term, and hopefully he will introduce all this. All schools have to teach religion to their children. He should make it a rule, or at least say Bhagavad Gita. And then we can just, all of us will get employment. Suddenly, burst of employment. Every school will send all our devotees. Huh? For them. Okay. So be ready for employment after Modi comes to a third time. Then all we can go to schools and colleges and teach Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Now go for prayers, special prayers for Guru Maharaj, that he should completely be fine, because he came there for putting all these Lord Chaitanya's footprints everywhere. So he's only doing it. They keep the photo and do, but still, we want him physically also there. And so let us pray that he should quickly recover. I must chant 3 times for him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
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 Hare
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 Rama,
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 Rama
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 Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare.
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Then we pray for all Prabhupada disciples, we pray for all our devotees and their families for their good health, well-being, longevity, and protection from all diseases. And